Hey everyone, I want to show this to you. Uh, Definitely one of my favorite games of all time. It's TrackMania, particularly TrackMania Turbo. However, TrackMania Turbo is not the best game in the franchise, but this is one of the more accessible of the TrackMania games. So just gonna show some of it to you, just show you what it's like. Most people actually don't know about this game franchise. It's a real shame. Let's go for a slightly later track. And it really is a stunt racer, but it's not about beating opponents per se. It's more about uh, yeah, so this car is pretty hard to control sometimes, but it's more about beating times. So, like, you see, that's my ghost from a previous play. Yeah. And if you mess up badly, that's okay. Just respawn to the last checkpoint, or you can start the map over again. And you can keep trying over and over and over until, yeah, until you get a good time. The motivation for getting a good time would be the more medals you get, the more you can unlock tracks. I have not been able to unlock all of them because the tracks actually do get really difficult as time goes by. So TrackMania is a franchise that has been around since 2003. But unfortunately, it's not a franchise that very many people know about. Now, obviously, I was a little slower than my previous time, but let's just move on to the more extreme stuff. Let's go to, yeah, like, let's do the blue one. Some of these, some of these are pretty extreme, but this game is so addicting. It's so much fun. And the great thing about this particular version is that, you know, TrackMania started off as just a PC exclusive. Whereas this got console releases, particularly on PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. This came out in 2016. And of course, there's also PC. Now, compared to previous TrackMania games, this does feel like this does feel more limiting. Like, it doesn't have as many features as the PC versions, but that's because they had to simplify it for console, and that's fine. I don't have a problem with that because the more accessible you can make a game, the more players we can get. Woo! Beat my time. Great. And yes, I did get a. Was it a silver? Yeah, it was silver. So I didn't quite get a gold. I did get a gold for this map. You know what? I'm not gonna show you all of these same. There's actually 4 environments with their own set of vehicles with different style physics for each of the vehicles. So that was, you know, like canyon, like a deserty type of high-speed drifty type of vehicle. This car isn't much of a drifter. It's more like a rally car, and it's very sensitive. But fortunately, there is a way to tweak the controls so that it's actually manageable. I used to hate this car because I just couldn't handle it. It would just keep spinning out of control until I realized that for whatever reason, the game defaulted to the highest sensitivity. So I don't know why that was the default. So I turned it all the way down, and it actually is pretty good. It actually is not too difficult to control. Obviously, I'm doing a horrible job, but that's just because the challenge is in the tracks themselves, and that's how it should be. It shouldn't be in how to just control the car. Yes, the car should have like realistic-esque type of stuff, like, you know, like different types of traction qualities depending on what surface you're driving on. So sand is very slippery, but this car is built for sand, so it's actually not too bad. Sometimes you do drive on the road, and this car handles completely differently from grass or sand or whatever. Just gonna start over again. I'm sure I can do better. Then again, I am talking at the same time. When I sit and just concentrate, it is, after a couple of tries, it is possible to get good times. In this case, I think this is halfway in the game, in the campaign. So I only needed to unlock silver medals. I didn't. Oh, I keep going right. I didn't need to unlock gold to unlock the next tracks, but unfortunately, you will need to unlock gold to get the final bunch of tracks. And usually, I don't like this sort of method of unlocking stuff, but fortunately, there are ways that you can bypass this if you're not skilled enough to get gold medals for every track in the game. Yeah, it looks like I'm gonna need some help. However, I did mention that these cars, you can get used to it. But one of the biggest criticisms that this game gets, and I actually agree with this criticism, there is one particular car that is just an absolute pain to drive, and that is the Lagoon car. So we got the Valley car, which is this car, you got the Canyon car, and after Lagoon you got the Stadium car. And we'll get to the Stadium last, because that is, in my opinion, probably the best environment. Okay, I'm just going to try this one more. If I can't do it, I'll just move on to Lagoon and just show you just what a awful experience it is driving that thing. Again, they default everything to max sensitivity and also max acceleration. So like, for instance, if you turn 50% of the full throttle of your analog, then the car will not turn 50%, it will turn like 150%. So the acceleration is insane, and fortunately, at least in the PC version, you can turn it down all the way to 0 so that it doesn't accelerate the intensity of your turn radius the more you push on the analog stick in a particular direction. I don't want to jinx it, but I'm actually doing pretty well. Sometimes they use things like helicopters to show you where you need to aim for when you do these jumps. So yes, you do need to memorize these maps if you want to get really good times. But on first time trials, it is possible to do it without knowing anything about the map, because they always add signs to give you direction, and sometimes they have a helicopter above head that isn't just there to carry a sign, but also to show you where you must jump. So now, of course, that's not a jump. That helicopter is just holding a sign. So this is a multi-lap, so fortunately this isn't too intense. Now here's a jump, and that helicopter shows you where you should aim, because you can't see over the horizon when you need to actually do the jump. I tested this with the steering wheel, and yes, I did finally get a steering wheel, and I failed. And I'm probably going to lose. But that's okay. I already unlocked silver for this map, for this track, I mean. And there's the silver time medal. That's okay. So it's only ghosts. So there's no collision. And I know people might be like, oh, that's lame, that must be boring. Not at all. It's not boring. The reason why it's not boring is because it's a pure kind of racing. Because it's just you and the track. So you can't blame an opponent, oh, he crashed into me and it ruined the race. You cannot make that excuse. It's just you and the track. I'm trying to remember which track that I just really struggled with. And this one took me hours to beat. And I really don't know how I accidentally got that gold. But here is the Lagoon, and this is sand. Sand is the worst for the Lagoon car. I knew the rock was there. I truly did try to avoid the rock, but controlling this thing on the sand is just so difficult. On road, however. Not bad. But sand, ugh. I'm making it look easy, but that's because I put in dozens of hours practicing. Okay, that was not the car's fault. That actually was my fault. But trying to get this thing to go straight, it's so difficult. Because not only it has an erratic behavior, meaning that sometimes you'll push a little bit to the right on the analog stick and it won't turn at all. So you're like, and you push a little bit more, and then it does like a 90-degree turn out of nowhere. It's just, it is so paranoid. It's a schizophrenic car, this. And I just can't. I just can't. This is so awful. What were they thinking? I believe the guys that made this game, by the way, the company's name is Nadeo. It's a French company. This isn't even a hard track, but that's just how difficult it is to control this car. Oh man. Let's try a different track. Yeah, I did eventually grind to the point where I managed to beat it and get some. Sorry, that's only Valley. I did not unlock red. Let's just go back to blue, pick a different track. Now, I do want to show you this. This is actually a part that I do think is really cool about Lagoon. In fact, I think this truly is the only reason why people actually do like Lagoon. And that is this roller coaster type track here. Now, of course, the engine was off. So it's all about controlling your speed and as in like not losing any speed, or else you will get a really bad time, or maybe not even make it to the next checkpoint. So yes, this roller coaster track thing is magnetic, so it's crazy, go all over the place. This is what I think of when I think of TrackMania, just insanity. And what's funny is that the car isn't that bad to handle on surfaces that isn't sand, and to a less extent that isn't wood. Wood is also pretty difficult to drive on for whatever reason. But I really do enjoy these roller coaster stuff, and it seems like every time someone plays Lagoon or likes playing Lagoon, it's usually because of these tracks right here. Now, I could show you the stadium tracks, but let me show you one of the biggest selling points of this game, and that is the track builder. You see, these tracks are not unique to the single player campaign. You have access to every single asset in this game to build your own track. Now, I've already built a track, and we're gonna play this. I spent, weeks working on this, but not full time, obviously, but like I would spend an hour a day just working on this track, and I'm very happy with it, how it came out. But yeah, these cars, the stadium cars, they don't have a really sharp turn radius, but that's actually a good thing, because that makes them easier to control. And as you can see, there's a whole bunch of ghosts, sort of like makeshift AI, even though they're not AI, they're just recordings of other players. But what's really cool is that, I mean, just look what's going on here on the screen. And again, it's just you in the track. It's about defeating the other opponents by beating their times, not just by getting in front of them or bumping them off the track. It literally is just, that's the entire game, just this. And that's fine. I think that this has so much depth and substance to it that you don't need anything more than this. That being said, that doesn't mean this game doesn't have other features. They got, obviously they have online multiplayer, but they also have, which is a strong point of TrackMania Turbo, is that it also has a very robust local multiplayer feature set. So obviously traditional split screen, it's got that. I think you can also have 4-way split screen, so that's awesome. But it also has other fun little gimmicks like 2 players controlling the same car. That sounds terrible, but it actually is really fun because, well, I mean, obviously there's only really one way to play through these tracks. Yeah, so you can do anything you want building these tracks. Just ridiculousness. It doesn't matter how you get to your destination, to the next checkpoint. It just matters that you do it as fast as possible, which I am failing miserably. But this is a multi-lap. It's only 2 laps because this is a very long track. But yeah, now we've done 1 lap. We're now at the beginning. Since we're at the beginning, I might as well start over because I really want to try to get a better time. But this is such an exhilarating game. So much fun. And it is criminal that there's a lot of hardcore gamers that haven't even heard of this franchise. And that makes a lot of sense because I don't know if it's bad marketing or something like that, but I actually was at a store and it was actually closing down because, you know, everything's, you know, becoming digital and streaming services and downloading games and stuff. So it's a media store called Look and Listen here in South Africa that no longer exists, at least to my knowledge. So all of their stores closed down a couple of years ago. And this game was on clearance for only 50 Rand, which is about $3.50, like US dollars. So it was basically nothing. It cost nothing to get this game. But when I saw this game on the shelf, I was shocked. I was like, I've never heard of this game. I've heard of TrackMania, but I've never heard of TrackMania Turbo. I didn't see anything about this game online on the internet. Nothing. And that's the biggest problem, is that people don't know this game, not because it's not a good game. It's an excellent franchise. It's so much fun. It's addicting, and you just want to play it over and over and over again just to get better times. And of course, online and multiplayer, that's just all brilliant. But people don't know about it. And it's a real shame. I'm actually been playing TrackMania since 2006. And of course, surprise, surprise, I didn't know this game existed back then. My friend actually had to share it with me. He actually was like, hey, check out this game. I was like, oh, that looks so cool, let's play it. And we played it over local multiplayer because this was before TrackMania had split screen. But it's sad. It really is sad because Nadeo is not a very big company, but this is AAA quality stuff. This is something that easily can compete with something like Need for Speed. In fact, ironically, Need for Speed isn't very good, whereas TrackMania has been relatively good. Like sometimes they got games that aren't that great, not terrible, but are slightly disappointing. And then you have other games which are just incredible. And Turbo is an incredible game, but that Lagoon car, so difficult to control on sand and you know, grass, and grass is also stupidly hard to control. And you know, some people will say, oh, you just need to get good. Well, you know, if you've been playing TrackMania since 2006 and you cannot adapt, then I would hate to be the guy that has never played a TrackMania game and is then required to master the Lagoon car. And I've been playing TrackMania Turbo since 2017, I think, is when I bought it. And again, this is a year after this game's initial release, and I didn't know about it. I knew about TrackMania. I love the TrackMania franchise, but I don't know, the marketing is just bad for this game. Well, anyways, so as a result, because not that many people own this game, after, you know, a couple of years of this game being out, there's barely an online presence. Now, fortunately, this game can still hold its own as a local multiplayer. Oh, that's actually a bug, believe it or not. And I know that sounds stupid, no, but really, speedrunners say that is a collision bug, where you'll land straight, but then for some reason the car will just spin out of control. Anyways, did not too badly. That was obviously that's good enough for a gold medal, but of course I got a gold because I know this map like the back of my hand because I built it. But I really enjoy TrackMania Turbo. And like the Lagoon car, yes, I've been very hard on the Lagoon car, but it's still an awesome environment where you can just build like just tarmac and the roller coaster track, and then yeah, you won't have a problem. It only becomes an extremely difficult car to handle on rough terrain. It's actually harder to control than a race sim like Gran Turismo and Project Cars. And if an arcade racer is harder to handle than a race sim, then you've got a problem. I truly do believe the developers made that car too complicated, needlessly complicated. And I'm not the only one. Like that Lagoon car has been ripped to shreds by, you know, reviewers on Steam and on other websites. But I don't want to end off in a negative light. I want to go more into TrackMania. I'm not gonna, you know, cover this series for like a month or something like that, but I'm gonna upload 2 videos relatively close to each other, showing TrackMania Turbo, which is the latest game that I actually think is the best, but it's not the best in the entire franchise. No, the best game would actually be a version of TrackMania from 2008 called TrackMania United Forever. So look forward to that. Until next time.